Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to RWBY Volume 7, Chapter 3. So, for those of you who are only here for this, you might not know what's going on with the new redirect screen and all. Simply put, I got a new camera, which might be evident by the higher quality video you're seeing. Well, at least it's visually higher quality. It doesn't handle movement as well. Um, there doesn't seem to be much of anything I can do about that, unfortunately. There's a couple other little issues as well, but nothing really major. Like one of the big things, I can't zoom in and out. For some reason, it just won't let me. So I have to have my computer a certain distance away, meaning I have to use my mouse in order to reach. It's fine. It's doable. It's nothing major. But another thing is I can't change the shape of the box. It has to be like basically this square box. So I basically had to create this new redirect screen in order to accommodate for that. And I think it looks good. I mean, it's probably as good as we're going to get at least. Um, I also updated the reaction screen just a tiny bit to accommodate for this as well. The main thing I changed was also just the new logo. You can see right in the corner there. Um, but yeah, I mean, I did a little like I didn't do much of anything for the reaction screen at least. But anyways. So last episode we got to talk with Ironwood. We got reunited with Ironwood and Winter, and Penny was there as well. And we learned that they know pretty much everything, but not like Oz's backstory with Salem and everything. Um, they know about the relics, they know about the maidens, and Winter, Penny, and the Ace Ops are in on James's inner circle, basically. Um, we also, I also realized something that is kind of funny. In the first episode, when the Aesops were first introduced, I mistook their name as Aesops, like, Aesop's Fables. I actually made the mistake on the name. I thought that's what they were saying until it was, like, specifically said in, like, separately as Ace Ops, like Ace Operations. Or operatives, whichever you prefer. But yeah, it's like I thought it was Aesops, just one word, like the fables. I found out someone had actually said, I think it was actually Murder of Birds, which he's probably the biggest RWBY fan out there, let's be honest. Um, I think it was him who said that they're based off of Aesop's fables, and specifically the one they called Hare is the tortoise and the hare from that, the one who's super competitive and loses the race to the tortoise because of cockiness and all. I've read Aesop's Fables. It's been a long time for pretty much all of them, and only a couple have stuck with me, like obviously Tortoise and the Hare. But it's like that's interesting. Also, the Faunus guy, the dog Faunus, he's the dog who lost his bone to his reflection, I believe it is. Um, so it's like that's interesting. They're the Ace Ops, and they're based off of Aesop's fables. It's actually brilliant. It's a brilliant bit of little pun play there. But yeah, so it's like I mistook their name, but I unintentionally got the joke, got the reference. And it makes sense. All the characters from RWBY are based off of fictional characters in some way. A lot of times from stories. Yang is based off of Goldilocks, for big example. Blake is Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Weiss is Snow White, obviously. Her name literally means Snow White. Um, Ruby is Little Red Riding Hood. Nora is Thor, oddly enough. Jean is Joan of Arc, and so on and so forth. It's just like it's not unbelievable that they do that. It's just I didn't realize that I was so spot on when I just made a mistake in the way I heard it. Um, But yeah, so they talked with Ironwood and Winter and all, and that was most of the episode. Um, we found out that Ironwood has two plans. First plan is to send Amity Arena into the atmosphere to use as a satellite to work to connect all of Remnant, basically replacing the towers. They're going to connect all of Remnant technologically by creating the first satellite, which is a fantastic idea, honestly. But the second plan is more morally gray, and that is telling the world about the existence of Salem. This was something that Ozpin had hid for many lifetimes. But now, with Ozpin as we know him, or as we knew him, as Ironwood knew him, gone, it's basically, in Ironwood's opinion, time to just let them know. Because he believes that if they continue to hide, if they continue to keep it a secret, it's just going to spell their doom. Meanwhile, they do tell him, our heroes do tell him that Oscar is the new Ozpin, but they hide the fact on why Ozpin is hiding in Oscar's mind. Because in reality, as we know, the reason is because they were assholes to him. But they just say, oh, we got in a train crash and then he just suddenly disappeared. Well, it's mostly RWBY who says this, and everyone just has already agreed to follow her lead. So it's like, why is she saying this? What is the reason? There's got to be some reason, but honestly, other people have pointed out too, it's hypocritical. They were all on Ozpin's ass about him hiding his backstory, hiding his history with Salem, um, which is the only negative thing he ever did. The fact that he hid it, and it's not even that bad because he had a valid reason to do so. Um, but it's like that's the only thing that could be taken as negative that he did, and it's definitely not worth the grief they caused him because of it. And now they're going around and doing the same thing. They're hiding things from Ironwood in pretty much the same way. And the same thing, too. So it's like they're being completely hypocritical. At least RWBY is. The others noticed when she did that, too, and they seemed not as sure about it. So I'm thinking it's mostly RWBY's decision. And I don't know if it's just because she doesn't trust Ironwood as much yet, but I'm really not sure about that decision. I think it definitely makes her seem hypocritical. Although she wasn't the one who was as on Ozpin's case as like Weiss, Yang, or definitely Crow, who punched the poor kid. Jean also was kind of a dick, but they made up with Ozpin, or with Oscar at least. Um, either way, either way. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. And I'm kind of curious as to where that's all going to go. But we also like got to meet the Aesops, as I mentioned. Um, I assume they're going to be a much bigger deal than I initially thought. They are in the opening, but I think they're going to be a much bigger deal now that we know that they are part of James's inner circle. Um, but we're also going to be getting our new looks and stuff. So we find out that Ironwood and them are going to upgrade the weapons, and I guess presumably with this, their equipment, their armor, and new looks and all. All of that's going to come probably in this episode. I would have to assume. So they're going to get upgraded weapons. They're going to keep the same weapons. They're just going to be upgraded. They're going to get their new outfits, their new looks, and all of that. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Um, the only one who I don't like as much is Weiss, which is ironic because she's my favorite character. Um, and it's not that I don't like it; it's just I don't like it as much as the others, and I don't like it as much as Weiss's previous looks. Like her part two look, which is volumes 4 through 6, and I guess the first couple episodes of this volume, um, I think is her best look. Her new look isn't bad, but it looks very Fate like the Fate series from anime, and I think they're visual novels too. Um, but yeah, like Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero, it looks very much like a Fate character. And I'm not a fan of the Fate series, or honestly, the characters' designs from the Fate series. So it's not just I don't like the show, so I don't like her new design. No, it's like I don't like the designs of the characters. I think they're super over the top and not in a good way. Um, yeah, it's not bad for Weiss, like the braided hair and the outfit and everything. Again, maybe it'll look better in motion. I don't know. Maybe it'll look better throughout this volume, but it's not my favorite. My favorite is definitely Yang's, even though hers seems like the least different. I just love her new outfit. I love the glasses she has in some of the shots I've seen. Um, Blake's is pretty good too, especially with the new bob cut. Um, Ruby's new haircut is great. Her outfit's not too different, sort of like Yang's, but it's even less different. But I mean, it's cool, I guess. I have no issue with it. But Yang's is definitely my favorite. Um, for Team Junior, I definitely like Nora's the best. I love the colors of her outfit and everything. I don't like Sean's. One, his outfit is barely different at all, like very barely different. And I hate his hairstyle. I just don't think that hairstyle works for him at all. And again, maybe it'll look better with motion. Maybe it'll look better as this season goes on, but I'm not a fan. And Ren's is good. I have no issue with Ren's. It's not great, but it's good. um, yeah, it's just we'll see, we'll see. But also in the last episode, we got Watts and Tyrion at the very end. So Watts is going around Mantle right now, and he can hack into things there. He can't up in Atlas. Atlas has definitely progressed their technology, but down in Mantle, it's still the code that he helped write. So he can hack into everything there, which he definitely uses to his advantage, as we see. And Tyrion is complaining about the fact that they keep switching hideouts and like just keeping on the move and everything. Because Tyrion doesn't seem to be comfortable in public, which is funny and ironic and hilarious, just really, really hilarious. Um, but I guess it kind of makes sense that he'd be more of like an in the shadows assassin type. It works for the entire Scorpion aspect of him. And even though he's crazy and wild and everything, he's just not as big into the acting in public kind of thing. So it's interesting. It's an interesting bit of character development for him. Um, so they're definitely being represented as the main antagonist of the season. So I'm wondering exactly how far that's going to go. But the final thing to discuss with this is Robin Hill and her happy huntresses. This was mentioned. She's shown in the opening and everything, and we find out it's basically like a freedom fighter kind of thing. I did not make the connection at all on what she could be based off of in the when I did my reaction to the last episode. Someone else pointed it out, and I felt like such an idiot for not realizing it. Think about the name Robin Hill and the Happy Huntresses. Robin Hood and the Merry Men. It's so fucking obvious. It is so fucking obvious, and I feel like an idiot for not having realized it. Like I thought it was just a silly name. I thought it was just a silly, fun name. The Happy Huntresses. But no, it makes sense, and that works as well with the entire freedom fighter aspect. Because Robin Hood and his merry men, their entire thing: steal from the rich, give to the poor. And from what we gather with Robin Hill and her happy huntresses, their entire thing is to help the poor disenfranchised of Mantle by sticking it, basically, to the rich scumbags of Atlas. Um, so yeah, it's like it just makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense. um, and I hope someone lets Pietro and Maria know that everyone's okay because I feel they're still going to be out of the loop. Though I feel Penny would obviously. I mean, she's the big connection between those two parts at the moment. Um, but yeah, it's like this is interesting so far. Their their arrival in Atlas and everything that's happened. It's interesting. I'm wondering exactly where this is going to go. But I'm really happy at how Ironwood is. Like no joke, Ironwood is just a straight up good guy who legitimately cares and wants to save the world. He doesn't always handle it in the best way. He doesn't, but he's trying his best and he legitimately wants to help. And I love the part where he hugs Crow, where he's like, I meant it when I said I was glad to see you again. And he goes up and hugs him and everything, and Crow just rolls his eyes, smiles, and pats him on the back. It was a really nice moment. Because yes, these two have obviously been at odds before. But at the same time, it shows that they are still friends, that they still do care about each other, and that with everything that had happened, with all of with losing another friend in Ozpin, Ironwood is legitimately truly happy to have a friendly face, someone he's known for a long time, presumably, and someone he honestly trusts even if he doesn't always act like it or doesn't always say it, I do fully believe he trusts Crow. I do. So it's like it was just great to see that. It was just a really nice moment, and then I feel really hammered in the fact that James is he is a really good guy who's just trying to do his best to help. Um, but yeah, either way, we're just gonna get on with this. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was another really good episode, and it answered a question that I've had for quite a while, and with just the series in general for a long time. Can multiple people have the same or at least very similar semblances? And the answer we get here is yes. And not just with Ruby and Harriet, because Harriet mentions she's seen people with other people with speed semblances. That this is not just the two of them. That's really fascinating. That their semblances there can be multiple people throughout the world, really presumably no real limit, that have the same semblance, or at least again something very similar. And although Harriet kind of implies that there might be something more to Ruby's semblance, which I kind of hope there is, that would be cool to find out. There is still a base to speed there. Now, we see that their speed semblance is done differently, though. Ruby's not just fast. Her semblance can also allow her to shoot herself forward, kind of like a bullet, in a way. Fitting for Ruby, with her love of guns and stuff. Or weapons in general, I guess. But she can shoot herself forward, kind of like a bullet, enshroud herself in the rose petals, and kind of fly through the air in a way. While Harriet is just running, she can kind of just run very fast with this kind of electric current surrounding her as she does so. So they're definitely different, but they're, again, both speed-based semblances. I do hope there is something more to Ruby's, though, and that she has something more that we're going to find out about, because that would be pretty cool. But the fact is that different people can have at least very, very similar semblances, and that's something important that we learned here. We also found that the leader of the Aesops, I don't think we got his name, or if we did, I didn't catch it. He has a semblance that is the complete polar opposite of Crow's. So we've known for a couple volumes now that Crow's semblance is bad luck. He has bad luck that just is kind of a passive semblance. He doesn't activate it, he doesn't do anything to make it happen, it just kind of does. It implies in this episode he can keep it under control sometimes, but he has trouble with that. Because that just the way he worded that, that's kind of what it implied there. It's like I can't always keep it under control. So it implies that sometimes he can, which is interesting in and of itself. But so he has the bad luck that's just kind of mostly passive, while the leader of the Aesops has basically, again, the polar opposite. His is good luck, and presumably is also passive. Now, with all of these characters in the Aesops being based off of Aesop's fables, I'm not sure who his is supposed to be. Again, as I mentioned in my pre-thoughts, I don't remember all of them that well. He has a fishing pole style weapon, and he has good luck. So there's definitely something in with that. The big girl seems to be able to anchor herself to the ground, from what we could tell. The guy who kind of looks like some kind of religious monk, you could say, he seems to be able to like stretch out his arms like Dalsim style, you know, Dalsim from Street Fighter, or Dalsim, or however you pronounce it. The Indian character from Street Fighter who can stretch his limbs. It's kind of like that. His arms like glow yellow and he can stretch them out, which is very useful, obviously. I don't remember. Did we see what Marrow's was? Also, I love that Marrow, his name is like, his name's Marrow, like, you know, bone marrow because he's a dog. um, but yeah, so this episode, the very beginning kind of switches between a couple moments, them getting their new gear and just the start of this first mission. Pietro and them, yeah, they're reconnected, everything's good. Pietro actually helped make their new gear and upgraded weapons and stuff. So yeah, it's like, it's really cool. Everything's fine. I guess Maria's just gonna hang out with him for the time being. We didn't see her in this episode. I hope she's still gonna train Ruby a little more though. But yeah, so it kind of cuts between that, but then it starts with the mission and all, and there's this really fucking cute moment with Yang and Blake. And it's like people are still gonna try to they're still gonna try to deny the fact that they're kind of together now. Um, and I bet even some people will try to use the entire thing with Nora still trying to like impress Ren as somehow evidence that they're not together. But it's like, come on. It's just denial at this point. It's super obvious. It's honestly blatant. The only thing they're not doing is directly saying it. Like, come on, Yang was just staring at Blake like that, and Blake was like, "Oh, you don't like my new hair?" And it was all blushy and stuff. Like, come on, they love the fuck out of each other. Stop being in denial. People just don't want it to be the case because of a couple reasons. One, Monty said that he saw Team RWBY more like sisters, and so there are these purists out there who want Monty's vision of RWBY to remain the only vision because Monty was the creator. And I mean, I understand what they're saying, but at the same time, it's like you have to realize that Monty, unfortunate as it is, has not been at the helm of RWBY for a long time now. And while you don't always agree with how Miles and Carrie or whoever is currently running it handles things, it's their show at this point. Monty was the creator, but he's no longer the showrunner. It's like with My Little Pony. Lauren Faust created it, but the show went in different directions than she originally intended, and I think it helped the show. It made the show better, and I think it's a fine thing to do with RWBY as well. Miles and Carrie, yeah, they're gonna stick to a lot of what Monty wanted, and that's great. But they're also going to do some different things that maybe Monty wasn't planning on, because they can't stick to it completely. Otherwise, they're not making the show themselves. They're basically just doing someone else's work, and that wouldn't be fair to anyone. But yeah, it's like there's this group of people, the group of fans who are just purists like that, who think, oh, it should be Monty's vision should be followed to a T, never like gone away from in any way. Um, and I think that's just not fair to anyone who's currently working on the show and everything. And I don't think Monty would have wanted that, honestly. I don't think he would have wanted them to be stifled like that. I think he'd want them to follow their own creative vision too. So yeah, I think that it's a good thing that they're straying in some paths. There's also these people who are just not fans of the ship, who aren't Bumblebee shippers, who are just trying to deny it because they don't want it to be the case. And there are some people who just don't think that it needs to be introduced into the show in any way, any ship. And they're just kind of on the fence about like having anything like that canonized because they think it's not necessary and will bring down the show in some way. And it's like none of these reasons, none of these kind of viewpoints really, in my opinion, make too much of any sense. Um, they just don't work, in my opinion. They don't like hold water. It's like there's no real legitimate reason why they can't be together. It's not pandering necessarily to have them end up together. It's not pandering at all to do that kind of thing. It's just called, that's just where we're going, and we're handling it very well. They're not like forcing it either. They're not like just like shoving it in your face. It's being handled very subtly, very respectfully. So it's like I think people are just being idiots, honestly. Um, and I'm not just saying that because I am a Bumblebee shipper. I'm saying that because it's just like there's no real reason, at least from there's been none that I've heard anyone say in this fandom, for why they can't be together or why they're already not. Honestly, because that's another thing. Last volume basically canonized their relationship, and people were just bitching about like, oh no, it didn't. They're just friends. There was nothing that said they were together, and it's like it doesn't have to outright say it. It didn't say that with Ren and Nora yet. Everyone just accepts that for the most part. All Ren and Nora did was they held each other's hands. Nora rested her head on Ren's shoulder. That's it. And don't get me wrong, I think that was super cute and a great way to canonize their relationship subtly without having to blatantly say it. But again, it's like everyone just accepts that. And then when pretty much the same thing is done with Blake and Yang, they're like, "Oh no, they're just friends." And it's like, "Oh, so you're okay with this when it's a heterosexual relationship?" But they're just friends if they're both girls. Okay, and I'm gonna be fair here. I'm not gonna just like be go over the top with that. I know a lot of people probably aren't thinking like that, aren't thinking about it in that way, but some people probably are. Um, it's just that's what it comes across as to me personally as a LGBT person when people do this, even if it's unintentional. It comes across as like when people are like so easily accepting of a heterosexual couple, and then when the same kind of confirmation of relationship happens with a homosexual couple, and they're just so against the idea that they are together now when it's pretty much the same level of confirmation. It's just like, it just comes across as like, why them, why are you so against that one? Why are you so heavily saying like, oh, they aren't canon, nothing was canonized about them, but you're okay with Ren and Nora? You just automatically accept that one. Why don't you just automatically accept this when it's the same level of confirmation? It's just like, and I mean, this episode, in my eyes, just continues to confirm it even further. As I said with last volume, it's just like, there's no way they can be read as anything more, anything less than that at this point. They are, in my eyes, they are a thing. They are together. They don't necessarily have to say anything. They don't have to be super blatant in your face about it. And they don't have to like, oh, they have to show them going on dates or shit. No, they don't. With considering the current situation of the world and the fact everything going on with Salem and shit, they don't have time for that. Let's be honest. They can still confirm it though with like cute little nods here and there, like what happened in this episode and all. And it's like, come on. Come on. Hell, let's be honest here. You know what that reminded me of, that scene in this episode? You know what that reminded me of? Yang staring at Blake's new haircut and everything, and Blake blushing and everything while messing with her hair about it and everything. That had to be a reference to Korrasami from The Legend of Korra. When Korra returns and sees Asami again for the first time in years, she has the new shorter haircut, and Asami compliments it, and Korra blushes and diddles with her hair a little bit. It's the same thing. Come on. Come on, people. But anyways, so they go down into these dust mines, which apparently is a very important mine. And they mention an explosion there. I'm like thinking, could that possibly be the same mine that Ilya's parents died in? That was what came to mind. I didn't say it, but thinking about it, it's like her parents died in a mine accident, right? And they were talking about the entire faunus labor stuff, and Weiss continued to show how much she's grown as a character, and it's like, I'm just saying like the entire time, like, no, honey, you don't need to apologize. You've made up for it. You're good. You're good, honey. And I mean, Blake very much assured her with touching her on the shoulder like that. It's like very much an assuring sign there. Um, but yeah, it's just, she's more than made up for at that point. No one blames her anymore. Her father, on the other hand, blame him all you want. Jacques can suck a dick. um, yeah, but yeah, it's just like, no one blames Weiss. You're not at fault here, honey. um, but yeah, it's like they get into the fight with all these Grimm, and they get to use their new upgraded weapons. And it's great to see. It's great to see all the different changes and upgrades and stuff with them and Team Junior. Um, we also find out that Oscar currently has the relic. He's holding on to it for the moment. RWBY let him have it, and we did get people questioning her about her motive to hide things from Ironwood. Both Yang and uh, Oscar. I just said his name. Both of them questioned her. Yang kind of just let it go when Weiss and Blake were kind of siding with RWBY's decision. I agree more with Yang and Oscar, though. Yang just kind of let it go. Oscar even pointed out that it was hypocritical. It's like, aren't you just doing the same thing that Ozpin did? And it's like, yeah. Maybe this will help them. Someone mentioned in the comments last time, though, maybe this will help them see Ozpin's side of things, hopefully, or at least help, like, lead in that direction, which could possibly help Ozpin return. I really do hope he returns this volume. I think it's like they don't want to. I don't think they should stretch that out for too long. Um, but yeah, during the big action stuff, we get to see the Aesops work together, and they have fantastic teamwork. Of course, we expect them to. And yeah, they're all pretty cool characters. I have no issue with any of them. It definitely focused on the leader and Harriet in this episode. The others were just kind of mostly in the background, though they did have time to shine and show off their semblances and weapons and stuff. Um, Marrow was kind of up there as well, but not as much. Harriet was definitely the star of the Aesops in this episode. And I had heard people talking about her, honestly, since last episode, since episode 2 aired, and people saying that they really love her as a character, and I can see why. She's not as cocky as I would have expected her to be, considering she's the hare from the tortoise and the hare. She's definitely a team player, and uh, she's definitely willing to compliment and acknowledge other people. But at the same time, it's just like she does have a little bit of sly cockiness to her, and she is definitely competitive and likes to show off. um, so we got to see plenty of her semblance in action, um, and she's cool. She is cool. Um, and I talked about how it's like we kind of have two bunny girls now. But she's very different than Velvet. Velvet's very self insecure, and while a very good fighter, as we saw in Volume 3, not exactly the most confident in general. She's definitely not cocky. She's very, very humble. um, they're almost kind of polar opposite in terms of their personality, but they're both great fighters. And again, I don't think Harriet's actually a faunus at all. Um, they haven't mentioned that in any way. I don't think she is. I think she's just based off of the hair. She's not actually a bunny girl, but I'm kind of calling her that just because what she is based off of and her semblance and everything. Um, yeah, it's just for fun. I would like to see I legitimately would like to see fan art of them together though. That would be pretty fun. Um, it could be pretty cool. But yeah, yeah. We also get a little bit of Tyrion in this episode at the very end. We see the guy who's part of Robin's freedom fighters group, not the Happy Huntresses specifically, but just in the group in general, because the group is led by the Happy Huntresses. Rob, that's what he said last episode. So we see him again, and he gets attacked by Tyrion and presumably killed because it's Tyrion. Um, which is interesting. It's like I almost expected him to have a little more of a role, but I guess not, unless he does somehow survive that. Um, so yeah, that's pretty interesting in and of itself. But yeah, this is getting good. This is getting exciting. I loved the plane scene that was again a little more expanded than what we got in the trailer when we saw that. Um, it was good to see. Definitely reminded me, obviously, of when they were doing their landing strategies in Volume 1, especially Yang flying through the air like that and sticking the landing. Obviously, they didn't quite do it the same way with landing and all, but it was reminiscent of that for sure. Um, yeah, I mentioned what I thought of their outfits already. Crow's new outfit, though, we haven't seen that. I don't think that was released before this. Um, it's okay, I guess. I don't really think it's an improvement over his old one, personally. But it's like it's okay, I guess. I have no issue with it. Um, it's just nothing special to me. But yeah, yeah. So this episode, outside of Tyrion causing some trouble, didn't really have too much direct connection with what we've had prior to this. I think this one was mostly to show off the Ace Ops. It was kind of this unconnected mission. Though, to be fair, it could connect in the future. I mean, think about it. We do have the dust mines and connection with the Schnee family. So that could connect in the future since the Schnees are shown in the opening. But as of what we got so far with the first two episodes, didn't connect too much outside of the Aesops. This was definitely trying to show them off and also introduce the new outfits and weapons and stuff. I don't want to say it was a how would I put it? I don't want to say it was a filler episode. Definitely not. But it just wasn't like as heavily focused on the actual ongoing story as much as the first two episodes were. Which is fine. Which is I'm fine with it, but yeah. I can't wait to see people's reactions to this. I'm pre-recording this as I do. So I'm actually watching this this past Monday. You're seeing this Saturday. I'm watching it on Monday, the Monday before. Or you're seeing this on Saturday. Did I say Sunday? You're seeing this on Saturday. Um, but yeah, it's like I'm recording this early because I honestly just wanted to get to it. Um, and yeah, it's like I can't wait to see people's reactions to this, to see their reactions to Harriet, to Yang and Blake being cute as fuck. I'm gonna be rewatching the hell out of that scene, by the way. Yeah, it's just like I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they do with this volume, and I can't wait to see how people react to all of what's going on. So in the meantime, though, tell me what you thought of this episode down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. If you want to check out any of my social media links and more, please check them out over to the side. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave those down below. In the meantime, though, thank you so much once again for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.